Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two lovers of Formula One. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Smoke on the Water host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1972 season, and this is part 2. So let's go.
Now, we've got some business from last part to take care of, Louis. We had some action items.
Yeah, it was to look up how many pages was the 1972 Driver's Code of Conduct. And I just couldn't find it on Google. Like, I saw references to it a lot, and they talked about the safety improvements, like the belts and things like that you talked about in the previous episode. But no, I couldn't find a PDF or a document online as to what that code of conduct was. I see the latest code of conduct, but that was more of a corporate one by FIA. It was about anti-money laundering and bribery and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so anyone out there that has a copy, a soft copy ideally, of the 72 F1 Drivers Code of Conduct, because it was the very first one, I'd love to have a copy of it because I think it's worth an episode, because I want to hold today's drivers to it and see how they hold up.
That would be very interesting. Yes.
Yes.
Did you quote our email address?
Oh, yes. F1 time, what is it again?
f1timeportal@gmail.com.
Yes. Just send us an email with that PDF or document, please, and we will give you credit. And the first email we open gets the credit. So we're up to race 2. So I know the last episode was slightly on the shorter side. We're aiming for about 30-minute episodes, everyone, now. So if we're close to 30, we're going to call it. So we'll see how this one goes. Probably get 3 races in, I reckon. So this is race 2 of 12. This is the South African Grand Prix. It's at Kyalami, 4th of March, 79 laps, and the weather was hot. So while South Africa lost the distinction of being the first race of the season, it was still of interest because there was a great deal of tyre testing that took place in the weeks leading up to the race.
There weren't many driver changes, though. Carlos Pace was making his F1 debut with Williams and Stommelen for March.
So to practice on the first day, on Wednesday, Stewart proceeded to demoralise everyone by setting a blistering time of 1 minute 17, which was set in the first hour of practice, and that ended up being the pole position time.
That is demoralising. The next fastest was 1 minute 17.7 seconds by Ickx in the Ferrari, which also turned out to be his fastest qualifying time, but he ended up being 7th on the grid.
Yeah. Well, he fell back because during second practice, Stewart again set the fastest time, but he had a very dangerous moment when his rear aerofoil mounting broke and he went out of control. But somehow he managed to stay on the track despite being shaken and unhurt, as was his car.
That is very lucky. Like, we have seen some big aerofoil accidents since they've come in. Rindt and Hill were in 2 very similar ones in Spain. So, yes, could have been very bad for him. So the grid was Stewart on pole, followed by Regazzoni in the Ferrari, Fittipaldi 3rd, Hayward in the Surtees in 4th.
Yeah, and Regazzoni was 0.3 behind Stewart, so it's got close though. But anyway.
It's not far.
Yeah, it's
0.3 is pretty good.
Yeah, but Stewart was comfortable, I think. So on race day, just before the race start, there were a few dramas because Holmes' major car repairs from earlier sessions was just repaired in time. Don't you love it when mechanics have to work to the start time of the race? Hill needed a car part to be placed in at the last moment, and Pace's Williams/March, had a fuel pump issue, and as a result, Pace had to start the race from the pits 3 laps after race start. So
why would you bother? That is like 3 laps after the race start.
But it's his race debut, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, you're bothered.
Yeah. Fine. Okay.
Yeah. So on race day, it was Holm that made a spectacular start, and he charged from the second row of the grid to lead the pack.
Yeah, he blew off Stewart too, but Holmes' lead was very short-lived because you can't keep a champion down. and Stewart surged ahead and took up his familiar leading position up front. Holm was now ahead of Fittipaldi, Hayward, Severt and others.
And doesn't that show you the mechanics would have loved to see this because it justifies their desperate work to get his car ready in time.
That's right.
Yeah. So some just Ferrari news for you, Rosa. Regazzoni, who started second on the grid, is back in 12th place.
Okay, that's a nonsense start.
Yeah. Mike Lang called it a poor start. So,
well, that's very kind of him.
So he must like Regazzoni, or he must like drivers that have a first name starting with R. Because remember with Reutemann, he said it was glorious racing.
I don't think it's that. Yeah. I doubt it's that simplistic. But anyway.
I doubt it too. But wouldn't it be funny if we see a pattern?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's watch out for it. So over the next few laps, Stewart steadily built a lead of 6 seconds ahead of Holm. However, Holm was having a tough time staying ahead of Fittipaldi and Hayward. In fact, this trio was themselves pulling away from the rest of the field.
By quarter distance, there was some drama as Stewart's lead started to shrink at the same time that both Fittipaldi and Hayward both overtook Holm.
And that sort of reminds me, let's not forget Hayward is driving a Surtees.
I know.
Okay, so he's really...
I know.
He shouldn't be up here. So Hayward was really in his zone and he soon passed Fittipaldi for second. And within 2 laps, in that Surtees still, was right on Stewart's tail and looking for a way past.
So we have 4 laps of exciting racing as Hayward really pressured Stewart until suddenly his car started to have an issue. And in Mike Lang's words, the gallant driver had a very anxious moment before bringing his car to a stop.
Which I think shows that it's not an R thing.
No.
Surtees has R in it. No, it's stretching.
All right. Okay. Yeah, now you're reaching.
Yeah. So the excitement at the front wasn't over as Fittipaldi now moved right onto Stewart's tail. And for 16 laps, these two remained nose to tail with Holm a further 4 seconds back.
That's very exciting. I love how Fittipaldi's just like not caring.
Yeah, he's going for it.
Yeah. So by lap 45 in a 79-lap race, the race leader Stewart hit trouble with a car issue and he had to retire.
You don't hear that much with Stewart, and he's retiring. No. He's retiring from the lead. Yes, he had someone on his back. Yes, he was in the lead. So yeah, so a real pity. The mere fact that these other cars were with him, I think, indicates that he must have been nursing that car. I don't think he would have been. It's not normal for someone to be on his back halfway through a race. He's either dominating it or not.
Yeah, true.
So now we have Fittipaldi in the lead, with Holm not too far behind and Peterson in third, but a long way back as he was suffering from handling issues due to a broken part of his rear wing.
And probably the front wing. So for all the Ferrari fans out there, we haven't mentioned them because we only talk about the key players in the race and in the championship. So that should give you a bit of a clue. But Andretti was 6th, Regazzoni was 7th, and Ickx was in 9th. The Ferraris were really struggling with power on this track.
And look at that, Regazzoni ahead of Ickx, but there's someone in between.
Yes.
At the front where it counts, though, Fittipaldi found that as soon as he had the lead, his Lotus was difficult to handle. And as the reducing fuel load was taking place, his car started to oversteer quite badly.
I remember this used to be a thing for the Lotus a while back as well, like in the 60s as well.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, that's interesting. By lap 57, though, Holm had overtaken Fittipaldi for the lead, and from then on, it was McLaren all the way.
Oh, poor Fittipaldi. I mean, this was sort of Stewart's win, then Fittipaldi's win. I wonder what we're doing in DP.
Yes.
So this would be McLaren team's first win since the 69 Mexican Grand Prix. And Fittipaldi would hold on for second place, about 13 seconds behind. And Revson in the other McLaren would come a surprise third.
McLaren's up there again, Luigi. Like
Holm always gets one of these wins.
I know. Yeah. You don't rate Holm.
Well,
for anyone that's listened to our 60s wrap up, Luigi did not put him in his top 5 drivers of the 60s.
I did give him an honourable mention.
Did you?
Yeah, but look, he didn't deserve this win.
Oh,
Stewart should
but
have won it.
he's
Fittipaldi should have won
there.
it. Yeah, but,
He's there. He's consistent. He's Mr. Consistency. Okay, so to the Drivers' Championship, we have Denny Holm in the lead on 15 points. Jackie Stewart's on 9 and Fittipaldi's on 6. Jackie X and Revson on 4. McLaren, top of the tables in the Constructors on 15 points. Tyrrell's on 9, Ferrari's on 7. That's really good from McLaren.
It's a surprise, isn't it? It's sort of a bit out of nowhere. Yeah. Okay,
All
so
right.
on to race 3, the Spanish Grand Prix. It's at Jarama, the 1st of May. It is 90 laps. And the weather was cold, windy, and showery. Always makes for good races, that sort of weather combination, doesn't it? Yeah. So the interesting thing is that this race was taking place in May and the other one was 2 months earlier. So a lot of time has passed, or a lot of time has allowed other interesting things to happen, hasn't it?
Yes, there were 3 non-championship races in that time, and in all 3, Fittipaldi dominated. He won nearly the lot, a rear suspension issue being the only thing that stopped him having a clean sweep.
And if you want to listen to a review of those 3 races, we suggest you go to this other podcast that someone will invent.
doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist. The non-championship races of F1 podcast. For those that only respect non-championship races.
It's very niche.
Yeah, very niche. So this meant that Lotus were arriving in Spain with very high confidence. And this was validated because in the very first session, Fittipaldi was nearly 1 second faster than everyone else except Stewart.
BRM were finally introducing their new P180, but they were having a lot of teething issues with that car.
Yeah. And when it comes to the next day of practice, Fittipaldi himself was having some car issues now, and the team had to switch him to his teammate's car, Mr. Dave Walker, who got no points. As a result, no points, Walker. Well, that's not nice.
That's not nice.
That's very teasy and inappropriate. We're not bullying you, David Walker. We respect you. And he's had such a great career after his racing career. Yeah. So as a result of Fittipaldi taking Walker's car, he couldn't improve on his strong qualifying performance from the day before, and in fact actually slipped down to 3rd on the grid as X, out of the blue somewhat, did an amazing job and took pole with 1 minute 18.4, and Holm was 2nd a little further back.
On race day, we had a World Championship first. For the first time, we have 2 brothers on the grid, with Emerson Fittipaldi in the Lotus in 3rd and Wilson Fittipaldi in the Brabham filling in for an injured Reutemann. Wilson qualified 14th. Some good trivia for everyone out there, Luigi.
To go
first time.
Yeah, that's amazing because it happens twice.
Well,
we know about
I'm thinking
Michael
of the Schumacher. Yeah.
I don't think there's any other. Oh, wait. The Rodriguez brothers were not at the same time.
No. And Leclerc has taken to the grid to the track with his brother, but it was only in a practice session.
Yes, that doesn't count.
So it doesn't count.
Yeah.
No.
And just to remind you all, I mean, Formula One's full of fascinating trivia, but just to remind you all, the 1961 Dutch Grand Prix, where there were no pit stops and no retirements, and every car that started finished, and that's amazing too. So,
I mean, that will never happen again because now we've got pit stops galore.
And they're mandatory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when it was time for the race to start, the track was damp from the morning rain, and Holm took off like a bullet into the lead, completely taking X and Fittipaldi by surprise.
So this is giving me deja vu of Clark in 1965. Remember that race that we watched on YouTube, and it was Clark. He looked like he was in like 1.5 times speed and everyone else was at standard speed. He was just zooming past everyone. So this is what Holm sounds like. And I like to keep Clark's memory alive, Luigi. So
you like to keep his memory alive, and you like to talk up Holm to offset me. And I think, look, I don't think comparing Holm to Clark is really the right thing.
Oh, come on. In this race he did. Like he just zoomed past everyone.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see what he does, though. We'll see whether he can keep it up.
Let's see if he can break his duck of never getting more than one win a year. Okay. He does get a decent number of wins in his career, though.
He does, yeah.
By the end of lap 1, Holm was still in the lead, but it was now Stewart in the Tyrrell in second, then Regazzoni in the Ferrari third, who qualified 8th, followed by Ickx and Fittipaldi.
Great driving again by Fittipaldi. And what a start by Regazzoni, even ahead of his Ferrari teammate, who was he had pole, didn't he? Didn't Ickx have pole?
And he's 4th.
Yes.
Yeah. So unfortunately for Holm, he was having some gear selection challenges, and on lap 5, Stewart took over the lead.
Then a series of changes took place as Ickx and Fittipaldi both passed Holm in quick succession. And as all three were about to lap Hill, there was some confusion. And in this moment, Fittipaldi not only passed Ickx into second place, but 3 laps later, Fittipaldi caught and passed Stewart for the lead.
He's really on form.
What a move. Yeah.
And let's not forget, he's driving essentially an adapted Lotus 72 from 1970. So this car is not a new car, but it's a very good adaptation of a very good car. So, yeah. So what makes this chain of events all the more remarkable is that during the second lap of the race, the fire extinguisher had gone off in Fittipaldi's car.
See, I told you it was automatic.
Yeah.
Something triggered it.
So Fittipaldi had been soaked in fuel from a leak, which required an urgent last-minute change in overalls. So he obviously got to the start line, quickly changed.
Yes.
I hope they replaced the fire extinguisher.
I hope so.
Yeah. Something tells me there wasn't anyone to check or make sure.
No.
Anyway.
He was trying to stabilise his lead at this stage, but Stewart himself was having a battle trying to stay ahead of Ickx. And finally, the Ferrari driver moved up to second place on lap 15.
Yeah.
Going on with Stewart.
And where's Regazzoni? He was ahead of Ickx, but I think the reality is Regazzoni just doesn't have race pace compared to Ickx. Ickx seems to have race pace and qualifying pace, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So at about lap 24, drizzle had developed, and the 5-second advantage that Fittipaldi had built up had suddenly started to shrink.
By lap 30, Ickx was right behind the Lotus, but then the track started to dry. Fittipaldi was better at managing the back markers, and he pulled out again.
Yeah. So we're back to Fittipaldi having a 5-second lead at the halfway mark. Stewart was still third, but not really in the picture. Same with Holm, who was struggling with his gearbox issues, and now are getting worse and worse as well.
So back in the pack, there was a gaggle of minor issues and retirements, but up front, Fittipaldi was building an ever-increasing lead. Stewart was now a lonely third, but this was to come to an end when he had an uncharacteristic spin and damaged his car. Ooh.
The joke is the wheels are falling off.
That is we don't really hear of Stewart doing spins out of nowhere.
No, he's not that sort of driver.
He's not that kind of driver.
Yeah. So now we have the race with 11 cars remaining, and with 20 laps to go, there was little drama left. Fittipaldi took the win by nearly 19 seconds ahead of Ickx. Regazzoni finished third, albeit a lap behind the winner.
2 Ferraris on the podium. And that Lotus is once again looking strong, just like in their 60s era. They took their eye off the ball last year with that weird experimental gas turbine engine. But it looks like they're back. Louis.
They're back. They haven't been away that long, remember, because they did win 1970.
Yeah.
It's like they just went off they went off the
boil. Yeah, just for 1 year, exactly, because they tried that gas turbine. Yeah. So now we have Denny Holm and Emerson Fittipaldi equal first on 15 points. Ickx is second or third on 10, and Stewart is fourth on 9. And McLaren is in the lead in the constructors. They're on 17. Lotus is second on 15 and Ferrari 13. Tyrrell's is fourth on 9 points.
Yeah, with that one win at the start of the year.
Yeah, that's only Jackie Stewart. Who's the other Tyrrell driver, Louis?
Francois Severt.
Oh, Savert. Yeah, he's not doing great, is he?
Yeah, you remember the rule is it's only the best
It's only
points
the
from a
yes.
race. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, and Holm is still up there.
Yep. He's hanging
Yep,
in there
he's
just
hanging in
to
there.
spite you.
So we're up to race 4, the Monaco Grand Prix. This is race 4 of 12 at Monte Carlo, 14th of May, 80 laps, and the weather was very wet. So, firstly, Mike Lang referred to this track as the race around the houses.
Really? Is that the first time he says that? I mean, it's been on the grid since 1951, this track.
Yeah.
Is this the first time he's thought of that saying? And houses, it's like millionaires' houses or mansions, or like it's not just your little house.
It was always multi-millionaire even back in those days, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it didn't just suddenly become it now. Is it now as in 72,
No,
I mean?
72,
Yeah.
exactly. But the track was substantially modified from 71, again because of safety. The pits were moved to the harbour front, behind the chicane and to back, and the new chicane was placed near to back. So I was trying to figure out, Louis, is that close to what we see now? Is that where the pits are?
I think they talk about Tabac being the last corner.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's the pits, right? Or
yes.
the start finish line. Yeah, I think it's unchanged with minor tweaks here and
minor
there.
tweaks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to say that the usual last minute arguments about how many starters were permitted was finally released from Insanity, and 25 starters were permitted. So that's a big change from the old days when it was like 16 and 18.
Yeah. But they still had the argument. That was only agreed like 1 hour before practice started.
Oh, they had to make some drama about it.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, yeah.
So first practice on Thursday revealed that the new track layout did little in the way of reducing lap time, with Ickx in his Ferrari leading the way, followed by Holm in the McLaren and then Stewart in the Tyrrell.
Yeah. On the Friday practice session, which would determine the grid as Saturday was rained out, it was Fittipaldi and the Lotus that took pole with 1 minute 21.4, closely followed by Ickx and his Ferrari teammate in third, Regazzoni.
Interestingly for you, Louis, the BRMs were really going well at this track, with Bertois in fourth and Gethin in fifth. Haven't seen much of those drivers this season so far.
It's funny, BRM have a habit of doing well in qualifying on this track. Despite generally having a V12 engine, they do well at this track for some reason. So they must have good low-end torque on that V12. So anyway, Holm and Stewart, the championship leaders. Well, Stewart's not a championship leader, but Holm's a championship leader. Stewart's like a front runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not able to take advantage of the improving track on the final practice day, and they ended up starting 7th and 8th respectively.
Interesting. Might have a new winner here.
Yeah.
Where was Hill? Just out of interest. I know we don't cover him because he probably did nothing, but, you know, he's Mr. Monaco.
I can just tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's easier to say that he's 6th from the back than when he's from the front.
Okay.
So somewhere in the low T, high teens, yeah.
So on race day, just before the race, it started to rain. It was pouring. It was so heavy that an extra 30-minute practice session was created so that the drivers could acclimatise to the conditions. But what was funny was that it was at this time that the royal family arrived for the race, and they literally drove their car into the track near the gasworks hairpin while the cars were on the warm-up lap.
That is... I'm trying to think of is there a word I can use? It's not
privileged.
That's privileged. So yeah, good word. So luckily the F1 drivers were surprised, of course. Luckily that they managed to overtake the royal car and escort it without any incidents. So I mean, this is a classic analog era incident. It would never happen other than this era. So now, Rosa, I have a first that I've noticed, by the way. In the Mike Lang book, They showed the grid as having two drivers side by side on each row. But in the body copy, Mike Lang states the 25 cars lined up in a staggered pairs of grid, like what we see in modern era
in
Formula One.
modern era
Modern
Formula.
era being, we're talking in 2025, but staggered's been around since the 80s, I'd say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I was doing a bit of reading about this, and I think we do see, and I read somewhere, can't remember exactly now, that they did do the staggered 2x2 as a safety measure. Yeah, and it sort of started being more routine in 73. But maybe here, because it was so wet and the track is so like skinny, even for
Yes.
this era, they did it. But yeah, it's the first time we've heard it mentioned. So it's probably the first time ever.
And that's our unofficial rule, isn't it? If we hear about it in the Mike Lang book, it's the first time. We're stating the source,
Yes.
but we're not holding our lives to it or anything.
No. Like the guy watched every race, so we're trusting him.
We don't know if he watched them, but he read about them.
He read, yeah.
He may not have been alive for the 50s.
This is true.
He looks like he was old enough to have been alive, though. And didn't we talk about a young Mike Lang listening to the races on the wireless?
Yes.
Anyway, when the flag fell, none other than Beltoise and the BRM from fourth on the grid made the start of his life.
Wow. So Beltoise was leaving behind an enormous cloud of spray. Regazzoni also made an amazing start from third and was in second ahead of Fittipaldi and X.
Yeah. And what a time to do a start when it's raining at Monaco.
That's right.
Yeah. So such a big advantage. So the visibility benefit was huge. And as a result, by lap 5, Beltoise was already 6 seconds up after just like lap 5, like I said, 1 second a lap or more than. Then his lead doubled because Regazzoni overdid things at the chicane and took to the escape road, and he took Fittipaldi out with him. So this allowed X to move up to second place. While Beltoise was still in the lead in these torrential conditions, many felt the Frenchman was on the brink of disaster continually, but he held firm. They didn't have much faith in the guy, did they?
No, poor guy. Even X though couldn't get him. He couldn't, like, X is a pretty good wet weather driver. We've seen him like do some pretty good races, and he made little impression on that BRM.
Yeah. Amazingly, it took until lap 28 for the first retirement to take place, which is very impressive. It was Whistle in the BRM with engine failure. Not a good sign for Beltoise.
No. So there were a lot of like chicane, escape road incidents with the back markers, but we don't really cover them unless it was interesting. But yes, really good driving for there to only be one retirement up until now.
Yeah. And at half distance, the rain persisted as hard as ever. Beltoise continued showing everyone the way. And in fact, he was actually increasing his lead over X as they lapped tail enders. So he was really in a zone.
Finally, Stewart, after a really not a great start from 8th, was speeding up, and he caught and passed Regazzoni for 3rd, and now had his sights set on X in 2nd place. He even reached X's tail spray, but then even the great Stewart spun. Again, Louis.
Yeah, but this time's warranted.
Yeah, it's wet.
So he's being quiet, and it wasn't, as in Stewart, but it wasn't long before Regazzoni retired after damaging his front suspension due to spinning on some oil on the track left by Hailwood Surtees, and Stewart retired soon after again himself, or not again, I mean another retirement.
Another retirement?
Yeah, due to wet electrics because his engine started to lose power.
Yeah, his engine probably drowned like that other drive. Was it a Clark's? I reckon it was Clark's. So right near the end of the race, the only other interest was Fittipaldi finally catching and passing the underpowered Stewart to move up to 3rd place.
Yeah. So the race became processional, I think. So So finally, after 80 very long laps in very heavy rain and 2.5 hours, the race was over and Beltoise earned his first ever F1 race. Only X was on the same lap, about 36 seconds behind Beltoise.
That is an amazing debut win for Beltoise. Remember, he was under investigation for that accident that killed Junti. Wasn't he the one that was trying to get his car and he was like pushing his car back? And he was still under investigation. And I read somewhere that he was, the media was hounding him because it was an Italian driver. So the Italian media was just like on him. And he wanted to dedicate this win to Junti, but he just felt he couldn't do it. And he ended up dedicating it to him a few weeks later. But well done, Beltoise. Like, this has probably been the most difficult era of his racing career. Yeah, so that's good. And he's done it for BRM as well, which is not one of the, best, better, bigger teams out there. And they did it with their Marlboro sponsor. So
yeah. Good on him for silencing his critics. I mean,
yes,
when that incident happened with Junti in 1971, he obviously wasn't doing it with any malice intent. No one does it like that. But the guy, good on him, just unbelievable performance. 2.5 hours in torrential rain at Monaco. I mean, and with none other than X, 36 seconds behind. I mean, he beat the wet weather master.
That's right.
So
it's funny you should say that. A lot of the drivers wrote letters of support for Beltoise saying they would have done the same thing. And the other interesting thing was that the race organisers at that race, the director of the race was Fangio. And he came under a bit of criticism for not stepping in and stopping the race or telling him to get off the track or blue flagging it or whatever. So interesting. He had a lot of support from his fellow drivers. So so that's good.
Okay.
So over to the championship standings though. Fittipaldi's on 19, X is on 16, Holm is on 15, Stewart was on 12.
Defending champion still well in the race.
Yeah,
having a tough season.
Yes.
To his standards.
And on the constructors, it's even closer, Louis. We've got Lotus, McLaren and Ferrari all on 19 points.
That's unbelievable. 3 teams on the same points after how many races? 4 races.
4 races.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we'll call it there.
Yes.
And we'll come back for part 3, race 5, Belgium Grand Prix.
Excellent. And not Spa.
Well, you've given it away, Louis.
Oh, no, that's the teaser.
Okay.
Where is it?
Okay, where is it? Okay, see you then.
Okay, bye.
Bye.